Hello everyone, welcome back to the SilverStripe React tutorial. In this video we'll be going over the React router and how to create a single page application-like website. We will start off here by including a few dependencies, so that's going to be npm React router and React router DOM. Next we will go ahead and remove the duplicated content rendered by the server. So we'll go into our page template and we'll just remove the layout line. Next we're going to start building a new window component that will render our pages with React. So we're going to want to run watch for changes, and then we will import some of the dependencies that we installed. So it's going to be route, router, and switch from React router. Next we will want link from React router DOM, and create browser history from history. Next we will create our window component, so that's going to be class window extends react.component. We will have some state in here eventually, but right now we will just define the render method. Now we don't want our navigation to flash every time that we change a page, so we always want these rendered by the server. So we will fetch them with a regular query selector. We will just visually hide the server rendered navigation later on so that we don't have two navigations. So we're going to say var navlinks equals array from document dot query selector all, and then it's going to be header nav dot primary arrow ul arrow li arrow a. And these arrows here just make sure that we're only grabbing the first child so that we don't have any sub-navigation items coming into our main navigation level. Next we will want to format our links so that we can re-render them in React. So for that we're going to want to define a empty array. So we'll say formatted navlinks equals an empty array, and then we will start a loop over the regular navlinks query. Okay, and then we will say formatted navlink equals an empty object. And then we will say the formatted navlink dot title equals the navlink, or excuse me, just the link dot inner text. Now for our URL segment, we would want either a slash or a slash home to both resolve to the home route. So what we will need to do is test that if the href equals the document domain, then we will just set this URL segment to home. Otherwise, we will just set it to the URL segment. So we'll say var URL segment equals link.href.split, and we'll split by slashes, and we will say reverse. And then the first item after we reverse would be an empty string. So we want the actual domain, so that would be the second index, and since it's 0 based, that would be 1. Now we want to see if this equals the document domain, and if it does, we will say, or if it doesn't equal it, we will just say link.href.split.reverse 1. But if this is just the document domain, then we'll say /home. Excuse me, we would want to prepend this bit with a slash, so that will be a string /plus. Now what this actually does is this looks for the last URL segment separated by a slash. So if the last URL segment is just the document domain, then the URL segment should be home. Then we will just set the formatted links URL segment to the URL segment. Next, in our navigation include, that's going to be under the includes directory, we will add a new page type attribute, and we'll set that to the class name. And this will be important whenever we have different types of pages. So whenever we create our blog page, we can get that in our formatted link here. Then we will add the page type to the formatted link. So we will say formatted link page type equals link dot attributes dot page type dot value. Next, we will simply push the formatted link onto our formatted navlinks array. So it's going to be formatted navlinks dot push formatted navlink. Next, we will start to return our JSX. So we'll say return, and then we'll put a semicolon here, and then we will open up a div, and we'll say the class name, and that's important for JSX, and we'll say window component, then we'll say nav, and then we'll close these up. And these classes will become important whenever we add our styling with Sass. Next, we will open up a unordered list, and we'll give it the class name main nav list. Okay, and then we will start to loop over our formatted links. So this will be formatted links, or formatted nav links, map, and then that's going to take an arrow function, and we will use link to represent each link in the list. Next, we will return a list item for each link, so it will be an li, and then we want a key for our map. So we'll say formatted navlinks dot index of link. We will give this the class name main nav list item. Okay. Next, we will define a link for each link. So this will be link to, and that will be link.url segment. And inside of this, we would want the title of the link. So this will be link.title. And this is all of the data that we added up here. All right, underneath the nav, we will add a switch component, and this will be for each of our routes. So we'll say route exact path equals just a /, and then we will just copy our page with the viewable data prop into the route for the home. Next, we will copy our formatted navlinks loop here, and we will paste it down here, but instead of list items, we will want more routes. So we will change these to route. We can remove this class. Instead, we will say path equals the link dot URL segment. And then we would want the same page component for each of these. Alright, now outside of our component, we will define a history variable. So it'll be const history equals create browser history. Okay, now instead of rendering the page component here, we have it up here now. We will say router, we will say history equals history. And inside of this component, we will just pass in our window. Now, if you refresh your site, you'll see a list here that has all of our navigation items. Then we can click all of these and we'll update the content on the page. You can see that we just clicked the contact page. This is the contact page content. The route up here was updated. And if we were to use the back buttons, this would all just transition seamlessly. Now, this obviously isn't a very pretty navigation, and if you click these links up here, you can see that it still refreshes the page, so these don't act like single page application links, just the ones rendered by React do. So in the next video, we'll take care of visually hiding these navigation links up here and styling these ones up a bit. So I'll catch you then.